So we know the basics. So we're not going to, we've covered the basics in class. And I'm sure that a lot of you have, I agree, I disagree. Those are the basic slides. We're going to be talking about different statements today and whether or not we agree with the statement or disagree with the statement. So let's look at this slide. These are statements that you can make if you agree with the statement. So, Brad, let's read these together. I'll read one, you read one, and we'll just read them together, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So I agree with this statement.
I completely agree with this statement.
I totally agree.
I definitely prefer to.
Absolutely. I agree with this statement.
I couldn't agree more with this statement.
I wholeheartedly agree with this statement. Okay. So those are things that you can say when you agree. Now, if you disagree with something, I disagree with this statement.
I completely disagree with this statement.
I totally disagree.
I definitely prefer not to.
I absolutely disagree with the statement.
I couldn't disagree with more with this statement.
I wholeheartedly disagree with the statement. So as you can see, a lot of these are just the opposite of the agreement statements. It's also important to know that when you're agreeing or when you're disagreeing, how to get started. So if we start your questioning of do you agree or disagree, instead of saying, do you agree with me, which a lot of students say, they'll say, do you agree with me? You can use phrases like, how do you feel about?
Do you agree?
What's your opinion?
Don't you think that?
Right. So these are different statements or questions that you can ask to get the conversation going. And here we have some other ways to agree or disagree. We can say, we see eye to eye on this.
I couldn't agree with you more.
That's exactly how I feel.
You have a point there.
I was just going to say that.
Absolutely.
That sounds sort of funny when it's in that order. And then disagree, we don't see eye to eye on this.
I get your point.
I tend to agree with you there. Or I tend to disagree with you there.
I'm afraid I have to disagree with you there. Reading is important, Ellie.
You're right. I
Mm,
beg to differ.
that's not always the case.
Right. So those are
Mm.
the ways to disagree. Now, to end an argument, it's also important, especially if you have a 2-minute uh, cutoff where you have to come to a decision. And this is very difficult if you don't know the question to ask. So, a question would be, let's move on, shall we?
Or you could say, let's make a decision.
Or, I'm glad we agree.
Or I think we're going to have to agree to disagree.
Right. So, coming to an end with your agreement and disagreement statements, you can say some of these things to come to an end. I think we both agree that the possibility is there.
Absolutely.
We disagree on the fact that there has been some intervention or they have visited Earth. There is some disagreement there.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Here are some things you can say. Well, I think it's definitely not, aliens.
And I would say we can eliminate aliens right away, don't you think?
So then what do you think is the best one or the best choice?
I guess you think we should choose alien, right, Ellie?
Are we both in favor of aliens?
Sure, they're interesting. They're cool. So we agree.
I don't think we're going to agree on this.
Exactly. So let's agree to disagree.